Hello, my friends. A very, very happy welcome to you. It is a very exciting day for us to meet, and I have a special agenda for us. I hope that you have an open heart and an open mind as we're getting in our topic for today, which is all about Together We Go Far, and FAR, FAR, standing for flexibility, accountability, and resilience. We are going to play with those very specific themes, those three specific themes on a personal level. First of all, how can you live that more in your own life, and then also transfer it into the outer world and seeing how does it apply for our society, our world, and everything that we're facing together right now. Okay, so twofold intent for this evening's meeting, and I am super excited for everybody who is going to tune in live, and I'm also super excited for everybody who is going to join the recording afterwards, because there is no difference in the quantum universe. We're all connected right here and right now. Okay, so please feel that in your heart for a moment and just breathe it in. Enjoy it. Enjoy our togetherness. Let everything go from the day. Just become present, fully present in the learning. Adopt your teachability, coachability, openness, and then you take whatever works for you and you discard everything else that doesn't work for you. And that is always my intent, to just offer you information, offer you examples and stories, my own example, and how I like to process what the law of attraction has to offer to us. And of course, in conjunction with NLP, because that is my background. I always say the law of attraction gives me the what, and the NLP gives me the how. Because when someone says, well, you just need to think more positive, well, for most people, that is an unimaginable thing of how do I even start to conquer something like that? How do you start even thinking about thinking positively? For example, and there are many ways of doing it, and I have shared many of those ways with you over the past few years, especially here in our Facebook live stream. So you can always go back in my video list on my wall and look at old videos that we made even 2 years ago when COVID was hitting first. The other thing is, I do have a YouTube channel with over 200 publicly published videos. I actually have over 300 of them. Some of them are not listed, and some of them are still with screen to screen. It's hilarious. I looked at it the other day. I'm like, okay, I got to do some more editing here. And there is a ton of information out there. Okay, I have a playlist, Law of Attraction, so I'm making a mental note to post that to you guys. And there is a lot of resources out there, so please just check it out. Go and do some research on your own and see who else is out there. What are their messages? How can you put this all together, and how can you make it work for you? That's the key element here. Okay, my friends, right on. So here's the story. I have been in NLP forever. I have loved the law of attraction for a long time. I absolutely was mind blown when I put the two together and realized the potential. And then ultimately, that's what was the beginning of quantum NLP. That started in 2005. And then when I turned 50, I did a spiritual journey and I went into hiatus, which turned into semi-retirement. And then, hey, COVID hit. So it was definitely quite a journey. And I have so thoroughly enjoyed my time here in the desert, in the Red Rock, and living 30 minutes from Zion, an hour and a half from the Grand Canyon. It is truly the German little girl, that dream come true of living in that incredibly beautiful landscape. So let it be. I have really enjoyed that time. I also have taken some workshops. I've also taken some transformation classes, looking at myself on a soul level. Hey, I am getting more into the elder years now, and the crone, and looking at the purpose, making sure that everything is on track and all that. And I realized I really need to bump it up. I've always been a purpose-driven person, and that is definitely what my semi-retirement made the most clear, is that there's no way I'm going to be a couch potato and sitting around and not doing anything. I have to contribute. I have to do stuff. I have to create events, bring people together, celebrate, teach, educate, gather. And you guys who know me, of course, those of you guys who are tuning in, the reason you're tuning in is because we have been connected for a long time. So I want to honor all of you beautiful friends who are tuning in. And some of you friendships literally go back 45 years. And some of you, especially friends from Germany, even longer. So I'm very honored. I'm very blessed to have you in my life. And this is actually going to be my last live stream in public before we are going to Germany, because Sean and I are taken off in the middle of July. And before that, of course, we're starting the boot camp here in a couple of days. I'm super excited about that. And Sean and I personally, we are now finishing up our AIT. We're using military metaphor. It's the advanced individual training. And I'm like, you're like, well, what is she talking about here? I'm just using the metaphor essentially as a framework to increase my personal relationship with the law of attraction. And what I challenged myself was, and by the way, you guys, I'm super excited because tonight is also a show and tell. So I put a couple of items together that I'm going to show and tell tonight. And so one of them is called The One Thing. And this is one of my very, very ultimate all-time favorite books. And it has some of those really fabulous theories in there that are definitely being discussed in the business world. And there are also a lot of common knowledge, for example, the idea of multitasking, the idea that our decision-making muscles and our self-motivation muscles are actually exhaustible and need to be recharged throughout the day, that marketing knows that really well and they use it to their advantage. Wow, incredible information. So this was my challenge for AIT. This is what I've been spending the last few months doing in maximizing my energy, the 80-20. That's what got me to it. The 80-20 rule is being very much discussed in it. The point is, how can I focus my focus and ultimately do the 1%? What's the most important thing out of the 100 ideas I could be having? What is going to get me ultimately the greatest results with the least amount of energy expended? So that's the kind of stuff that I've been playing with the law of attraction. And crazy enough, putting it all together with the transformational workshops, having all that time, becoming a grandma, really asking myself, holy shnikes, you know, how can I contribute even more in a way that is even more satisfying, knowing, environmentally speaking, what can we do? How can we save our resource? How can we be more appropriate in the use of our resources, as well as in our interrelatedness and how we're communicating with each other as a people, okay, on this planet. And that's ultimately how this was born. So ultimately, you guys are the very first ones to see this. And I feel a very huge correlation and marriage with this topic. And I think you're going to see me thinking around with this for a while. I have been thinking around this for a while already. It's been several years since I've really asked myself the very big questions about what is this thing, this legacy, this ultimate purpose that absolutely has to be fulfilled in those next 20, 30, 40 years that I'm still choosing to be here and live in this physical form. And what can I contribute? And what is this thing that drives me so deeply? And thank God for becoming a grandma, because that really shifted it again for me, just like when I became a mother 24, 25 years ago. So together we go far. We are being opportuned right now to grow very, very exponentially. One of my mentors said, if you want to grow, you have to be out of your comfort zone. You have to do things you're not used to. You have to be out there and take some risks. Think differently. And if you really, really, really want to grow, you got to be 90% out of your comfort zone. So that always stuck with me. And that's why everything that we're currently collectively experiencing is us being very, very much out of our comfort zone. And issues that we're looking at in the news. And right now we are talking June of 2022. And everything that's been happening just this last weekend, and then before that, and everything that's been going on since the beginning of the year, and everything that's been going on since the beginning of 2020, the end of 2019. Holy shnikes. Flexibility, accountability, and resilience. Those are words that I didn't care about when I was in my 20s and 30s. It was like, oh, come on, that's like this adult stuff. It's all reeks of responsibility. And then I really, really have to take accountability for my life and my choices and all that crap that I'm dealing with. And I'm responsible for that. No way. And that kind of stuff, okay? And I'm not the only one, I'm sure. Well, now, a little older, a little more research under my belly, and a little bit more conversations that have been had, and people I've encountered, and examples that I have collected, and stories that I've heard, and everything else. I have a little bit of a different attitude towards all of that right now. And I believe there is a level of resourcefulness that can be gotten from us claiming more flexibility, accountability, and resilience in our own lives. And you always hear me say the same thing: when we can do it in our own life, then we can download that into the pool that connects all of us. Then it's available to everybody. So the more flexible, accountable, and resilient that you become in your own life, the more your family profits from it, the more your workplace is going to profit from it, your neighborhood. And that is some of my favorite research. And I always talk about the movie What the Bleep Do We Know? And I tell my clients very constantly, please watch that movie. And right now, where you're at, this is a very important passage for you. This is where you need to concentrate on. And the part that I'm thinking about right now is the part when Dr. John Hagelin tells the story of the people who meditated in Washington, D.C. to lower the crime rate. And then, because of 48 other studies they had conducted beforehand, they knew what the results were going to be. They reached the results, and the police department that first was laughing about the experiment later became a sponsor. Okay? So that's the super short version of that little story. And I am promoting Scientists for Peace very regularly. Dr. John Hagelin is a major part in that. Phenomenal stuff to have that research-based approach to how can peace be achieved and how does it relate to human consciousness. Phenomenal, absolutely fascinating. And that's where I love to play. Oh my God, I love to play in that. And so what it really says is, even when you sit at home with your family and you guys are praying together, you are affecting the field for your neighbors. You are literally affecting the quantum field that connects all of us when you have positive thoughts towards a person, an organization, a country, a people. Wow, so powerful, so powerful. And when you can have more flexibility, accountability, and resilience in your own life, you are able to bend with whatever is going on in your life. You are able to say, you know what, these are the things that are important to me, and I'm going to stick to it. And I'm going to follow through on those things that I'm saying I'm doing. And I'm able to also bounce back. I'm learning to respond to life versus react. That was one of those things I learned in shamanism that I was really, really attached to. The idea that a response can be crafted versus just a instant reaction. You're being criticized. Oh, how do you react? You immediately go into reptilian brain and go, ah, blah, 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 blah. I'm either turning red, or I'm yelling, or I'm deflecting, I'm gaslighting. You know, we have all those coping mechanisms that we've learned over time to deal with those moments of stress. And when you're able, in that very moment when it happens, to be able to go, I'm resilient. I can bounce back. No big deal. This is just a little hurdle. I'm going to climb out of this hole. Everything is going to be okay. I've done this before. Everything is going to be okay. And in that moment, you will have a different physical response. Your physiology will respond differently. You're going to dump different hormones. You're going to have a different feeling state. You're going to have different actions available to you because your brain function is different. Isn't that fantastic? That you can actually influence that. And so that's what I'm so excited about with this little chart. And I've already posted it. So for those of you who haven't really seen it yet, it is about flexibility, accountability, and resilience. And then it's the things that I very much love to talk about. You know it, the law of attraction formula. It is what you think. It is what you feel. It is how your head and your heart are communicating with each other. And I know it's that vague stuff, again, like when someone says, well, you just need to align your thinking and your feeling, you know, then you're going to master the law of attraction. And the novice walks away saying, okay, doesn't tell me anything what I really need to be doing. Give me steps, give me steps. So that's what we're going to be figuring out here tonight, okay? We are going to put some structure to this. We are going to fill this out together with experience, and so that you get a taste of it. That's what I want for tonight. I want you to get a taste of it and say, okay, 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 this is exciting. This is exciting, and I haven't thought about it like this before. That's what I want, okay? That is my intent for sharing this information, that there is something in there with these boring words that most of us don't like to hear. Okay, I'm going to go to a seminar tonight because they're going to teach me how to become more accountable. Yeah, that's not what a Tuesday night, kind of fun engagement looks like for most people. So I really, really, really appreciate those of you who actually were attracted to this very specific title and who say, you know what, I do see the value in resilience. I see the value in flexibility, and that's a resource I really need right now. So I'm going to check it out. So that's what I want. I want some of that little spark in you, okay, my friends? So open yourself up to the spark, please. Let's take a couple of beautiful deep breaths. Another one. Get that air in there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And that's actually one of those key elements right there and then. That deep breathing, that getting that oxygen to your brain, that is one of the first key elements in all three of those columns. What you can do with your physiology, so that actually goes into action. It would be one of those actions that you're taking when you are getting yourself into your state. And I actually call that the quantum state, because that's when you're in your vortex, you are aware of the energetic implications of life, and that we are manifesting our reality first in our ideas in the energetic field before it then can actually transmute into physical manifested reality. Just like energy, waves become particles, become atoms, become molecules, become cell structure, and all of a sudden you have a human, an apple, a rock, a water, whatever it is that we are surrounded by. Wow, when you can think about life like that all the time, there is just this level of peace and tranquility that I personally feel with that. I don't know what your word is. Give yourself that right now and feel that oneness. You know I love to talk about the oneness as well. So give yourself that. Go back to the other videos from the past few weeks, and I talk about that a lot. I give you an experience if you need more of that. Feel that oneness. Connect with everything right now. And I'm going to hold the intent that you're going to get some really magnificent information about yourself right now, okay? As I'm just going to lead you through it, and I made it a point not to go into the details with myself and already think about examples and little stories I can tell, because I really, really want to discover this with you guys, okay? So I'm super excited to fill this out. I did grab a pen specifically for that reason. There it is. Aha, perfect. All right. And the point is that you are going to get a physical experience of how it feels when you associate yourself with the states of being very, very flexible, being very accountable, and having excellent resilience. And we're going to that very structured, and that's where the NLP comes in. And that's why I love it, because it really gives us a roadmap and it gives us a framework that we can then fill in, okay? So I would like for you, let's just do a tiny little example. And we're going to simply start by this very first quadrant. It's about flexibility. And the first idea is about thoughts. What are our thought patterns in those moments that we are flexible? In the moment that you're experiencing flexibility, and I would like for you to really think of examples in your life right now. And that's why I didn't want to do it earlier, because I want to do it with you. So right now, as we're searching our timeline, our lifeline, for examples of, what are some really awesome examples of me being super flexible in my life? Early childhood can be a little tiny child example. I'm hanging with those little grandkids. Oh my God, are they flexible? Just in getting what they want. And all that maneuvering they can do to get talk grandma into what they want. Oh, what lovely, lovely exhibitions of flexibility. For example, just a little fun one. So yeah, little kids can do it, trust me. Imagine your school years. I bet there were some times when you were, wow, so flexible. You're looking back at yourself saying, I was being really flexible. Perhaps it was in regards of a relationship. It was in regards to arrangements that were being made and then plans changed. And actually, that's a good one. That's something I'm dealing with a lot because of my international travel, because of lots of time changes, time zone changes, currency changes, language changes, all those changes, especially when I do a lot of international hopping. And so that is something that I can right now, as I'm giving these examples, think of in my own life where I had to gain flexibility because being a good old German, of course, the plan is the plan. You plan the plan half a year in advance and then you stick to the plan, okay? I mean, let's be stereotypical here a little bit. It works. And it was hard for me in the olden days when I did get into the international travel business, and all of a sudden there was a lot of flexibility demanded on my time where it didn't always go to plan. And the plan that was set as the plan usually got changed. And so that became one of my little jokes about the one thing you can depend on is that the plan is going to change. And that is actually a really excellent example for me personally about in my life, and especially those last 15, 20 years that I have been traveling internationally for business, that I can say, oh yeah, that I have gained flexibility in my thought patterns in that regard. Okay, so I'm hoping that this example plus the other areas that I got into are sparking your own examples. And please type them in if you feel comfortable with that, or just give me a thumbs up. Yeah, I got it. And please make sure anyway that you leave a comment, because that is going to help you enter our drawing. And we do have a winner from last time that I'm going to announce this evening. So type in your answer. I would love to hear it, see what you have to say. And what are some of those flexibility examples that you had? And it can just be a little code word. I was learning an instrument, or I created a goal for myself, or I wrote a book, or some kind of an accomplishment or something that happened in your life where you really exhibited flexibility. You were able to bend, you were able to go with the flow, you were able to adjust. And another very, very important word that goes hand in hand with flexibility is adaptation, the ability to adapt, which of course also goes very hand in hand with the word resilience. So my friends, you getting some ideas? All right, and let me just scroll real quick, see who's there and what you guys have to say. Trip to England, I love it. Breathe in, nice, right on. Yeah, like you guys, let me know if you have some ideas that are already coming to your mind. If not, please rewatch this. This is a very valuable exercise for you to tap into that part of your brain, because the moment you're doing this, you are activating that part of your brain. The brain does not know the difference between something that you're actually experiencing or something you have a memory of, something that you're just imagining. You already know that, okay? So let's really use that. Let's use that to its fullest extent, this knowledge, that we can proactively create that in our mind, which then leads to the transmutation. It aids the transmutation from energy to matter. Okay, you're getting some ideas? I want you to go back in time and really experience that. And if you can't think of it in your own life, and I know you will at some point, think of it in a movie. Think of it in a novel. Think of a person that you know and admire for their level of flexibility. Okay, who comes to mind right now? Flexibility. Sorry, I have to say, Elon Musk. That guy is so flexible. Man, the way he's jumping from business to business. And he's just like, yeah, man, I'm going to really pour myself into it. And then I'm going to reap the rewards, and I'm going to invest it in the next level. Bam, bam, bam. That's how he went from one business to the next. And the dude was actually shoveling out silos, okay, when he first started out this whole journey. So, hey, hats off, Elon. And blessed be you on your path. And this is definitely an inspiring example of someone who's extremely flexible and always bouncing back, always willing to bend, and he's always working it out. So I would say that is a really cool example of a currently very flexible person. There might be some actors, some authors, some politicians, some people that are inspiring you who are very, very flexible, people from the past, inspiring leaders. Of course, certain names come to mind there as well. Okay? The important thing is what we're doing is we're activating our neurology with the state of flexibility through our thought patterns by creating that scenario in our mind about, yeah, and that's how it looks and that's how it sounds in my head. This is my internal dialogue, and this is how I'm expressing myself. This is what I'm exposing myself to. This is how it feels in my body. That's the second part. How does it feel in my body? What is the emotion that's accompanying it? So let's do that together right now for flexibility. Make yourself comfortable, drink something, breathe deeply, get yourself relaxed so you can really tap into this. And think of a time in your life when you were very, very flexible. So just like that example that I gave you with my international traveling, and I had to adjust this idea in my mind that the plan had to happen according to the plan. And then I changed it to, hey, the plan is going to change, and that's the only thing I'm going to depend on here, okay? And it's jokey and it's fun. It's not a big deal. Of course, no big deal. I'm going to just change with you guys. You guys just tell me what to be. That's kind of what I made out of it. Just tell me when to show up where and what to wear, kind of. What to bring. That's it. Bam. So I can really step back into that. So do that for yourself as well. Use those examples that you just came up with. Step into them. Be there fully and completely. Physically anchor yourself into it. Give your neurology that download right now. This is how it felt. This is how it feels in my body. This is how I'm moving in my body. And I don't like this whole stand still and imagine your state. No, I'm really into the fluid movement. I'm really into the role playing and really expressing it, okay? So when I am in this one moment where, for example, a plane got canceled, or, you know, I got stuck oh my God, have I showed up at different and wrong hotels how many times and having to figure it out, and then being sent to the right hotel, you know, stuff like that. Or I'm expecting a dinner with 2 people and I'm sitting there was 20 people. I mean, oh my God, I got just thousands of stories like that of just constant adjustment, constant adaptability. And I can just laugh about it and be in the flow with it. And it feels good in my body. And I feel grounded. And I feel light at the same time. And I have this little chuckle. Hey, I'm just going to go with the flow. And that thought that cruises around in mind. Hey, the plan's going to change. Just go with it. The one thing I can depend on is the plan's going to change. No big deal. And we're all dealing with it because the plan is constantly changing. So I really hope that this might be a useful resource for you as well. That's simply that whole belief about, hey, it is what it is, and I'm just going to go with the flow. It's very Tao, by the way, to think that way. Just being with what is, trusting that it's the right thing for you right here, right now, and just being with that. And see, that's that oneness. That's when I feel that oneness, where it just is what it is. Yeah. So now the word that I have here says feel. And what I really mean by that is the emotion. So usually the way I teach it is what you think of, which comes in the form of the pictures that you make in your mind, because the whole time I was thinking about my experience and sharing it with you, I'm actually running movies. I'm running movies of stepping in and out of airports and airplanes, finding, you know, signs and figuring out train schedules and any kind of traveling oriented stuff, and figuring out hotel issues and figuring out classroom items and students and everything. So I'm making really movies of my past, of all these little pinpoints, all these little highlights of looking at it like, oh yeah, I was super flexible here, and oh yeah, there was another super flexible one. Oh my God, this one time, Sean, we went to the wrong, there were 2 train stations in this one town, and we went to the wrong one and then had to figure that out and make it to the other train station in time, because the train that we needed didn't go. It was something about ICE, where it just didn't stop in the smaller train station, and there was some kind of misunderstanding, whatever. And to figure that out and make it in time and all that stuff, it was such an incredible adventure. And I could also tell it as a disaster story and how horrible it was. And that changes my state, that changes my feeling. So the way you think about it, the way you visualize it, the movie that you have in your head about your life, you have a novel in your heart, my friends. You have a wonderful novel that is your life. That is your story. And you're writing that story right now. And so the auditory, that's the second part. That's the talking, that's the hearing. What are you exposing yourself to? I just told a client this morning, I'm like, yo, every morning, first thing I do is the morning rampage with Esther Hicks. Then I do things like where I listen to some kind of meditative music because I'm still doing my prayer, my meditation, I have my rituals, I love my journal, those kind of things, okay? And then the grandkids, they do get to come up and hang out with me. And it's quiet time. We're stretching, we're meditating. This is our classical music, this is our meditative music. You can totally hang out. And Oma's not going to say much right now. And we know that. And it's our quiet time. And I love that. So those are those rituals that I created to have that auditory input that is useful to me. And I used to be addicted to reading the news. I'm laying there in the morning just scrolling and looking at what's going on. And then I would spew out those facts all of a sudden throughout the day. Someone's having some kind of conversation. I'm like, oh yeah, I read the news, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, that's just not the knowledge that I want to have taken up space in my mind, because I know a lot of you relate with that, the important stuff we hear anyway. And the question is this the lifetime? Is this my job to be that person? And yes, I know there are a lot of people out there. It is your job. And I always so love the whistleblowers and the people who are looking in the mirror, who are saying, hello, society, the comedians, the fools, that's what the whole thing is, the harlequin, the Casper. Those are the European words we're using. And the other word is, what's the other word? He's the guy who sits at the foot, it's the Nar, at the foot of the king, and he's the one who gets to tell the king that he's an idiot. See, that's very powerful. And so we absolutely need that archetype in our society. And it ain't my gig, not in this lifetime. I'm the scholar, I'm the person who loves to research, I'm the person who sits at home and figures out the processes. Then I experiment with myself in, for example, this little metaphor of AIT, and then love to share it with the world, because that ultimately is how this kind of stuff comes to be, okay? So, the thinking happens in the pictures you make, in the movies that you're making. Secondly, it happens in the auditory channel, the things you're exposing yourself to, the things that you're creating with your own mind. That's why mantras and affirmations are so powerful, because they're helping us to break the cycle of negative internal dialogue that most of us share. I always tell people I used to be 90% negative and 10% perhaps positive. Not too much about myself, definitely. And I've been able to pretty much flip that over the last 25 years of consistent study, consistent exposure, consistent dedication, and consistent willingness to say, hey, what else can I do to make it even better? Because I don't have time for the negative thoughts. I don't have time for the diminishing thoughts, the hopeless thoughts, the despair thoughts, the future looks bleak thoughts, the, oh my God, what am I going to do thoughts. No, doesn't serve me. And that's what NLP is so brilliant about, because NLP just says, hey, what's useful? We're not searching for truth when we come from the NLP frame. It is purely about, hey, what is more useful than what you're currently doing? Because if what you're doing doesn't serve you to your highest extent, happiness, maximization of your life force, ability to give to others, then you got to ask yourself some questions. Hey, how can I bump it up? So all of that stuff happens in your auditory channel, okay? That way of how you're debating and negotiating life, because we have over 15,000 thoughts a day. And when those thoughts are predominantly positive, wow, that is so powerful. That is so amazing. And you can make such a difference in other people's lives. Oh yeah, and we need it, guys. Why do you think we have so many superhero movies? Because it's calling on Joe Doe to say, hey, check it out. Perhaps you got some powers too. That's why kids love Avatar, The Last Airbender. And if anybody hasn't heard about it yet, because it's one of my favorite shows and I love to talk about it, please check it out. There are many review videos that are just glorifying the series as one of the best shows ever. And the principles are so Taoistic, Buddhism, phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. So you are in charge of your thought patterns. You are in charge of what goes on in your mind, and you can learn to direct it and make it more positive, make it more useful, make it more applicable to what you want to achieve in your life. So that was the second level. The third one is ultimately what goes on in your body. The deep breathing patterns, as well as how you move your body. You're putting your shoulders back. You're holding your head high. You don't go around like this. How you doing? Ah, I'm having another Monday. It's just another Monday. That kind of attitude. Versus, how you doing? You know what? It's another wonderful day, and I wonder what kind of miracles I'm going to encounter today. The smile, huge. I'm very big. There's this wonderful German, I don't know if she's actually a psychologist. She did a lot of seminars. Most of them are in German. Vera Birkenbühl, I know I mention her a lot. She has this whole thing about the power of smiling and what it does hormonally, what it does with your muscles, what it does on the level of physiological changes that you're experiencing simply by smiling. So that's the physiological part, and that's what most people call feeling. See, hear, feel, right? That's like the mainstream words that we're using. What do you see, hear, feel, smell, and taste? We call it our five senses. So that's why the word feel gets used a lot. What we're really talking about are the body sensations. And so that all is now the package called thinking. Now, those thoughts, that package that you're creating, that input in your neurology that you're creating in that moment of saying, you're looking at a baby picture of one of your children and you go, oh, I remember his second birthday or something like that, and you're like, oh, and you're right there and the baby's blowing out the candle and everybody's laughing, and whatever that experience is for you and whatever that emotion that then comes out of all that input of what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're sensing with your body. And that then is what we in mainstream call ultimately, how does it feel? How do you feel? Oh, I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling angry. So that's going down the scale. Neutral, okay. I'm feeling hopeful. I'm feeling resilient. I'm feeling grateful. I'm feeling blissful. I'm feeling so in love with life. I'm feeling nirvana. That kind of stuff, okay? Or I'm feeling nirvana. However it comes for you. Some people are more outward. Some people are more inward. The feeling, as we talk about how do you feel, we get here, how are you? How are you? That's usually the answer to the question, how are you? That's when we talk about our feelings, our emotions. Those are the direct result of your thought input. And that's ultimately my message with quantum NLP, that you can direct the way you feel because of your thought input. When you make different pictures, when you talk different to yourself, when you create different body sensations, you will feel differently. And that's what we call the quantum state. Okay? So the feeling when I'm doing all of this, and I'm going back to my example of the plan is going to change. And when I have these funny thoughts like, of course the plan's going to change. Why would it not change? Yeah, of course I'm just going to flow with it. Don't worry. I was already prepared for it. Everything is cool. Yeah. So when I really ask myself, looking at those pictures, hearing those sounds, those words in my head, feeling those sensations in my body, what feeling, what emotion does that create in me? Give me a sec. And please do the same thing for yourself in your own example as well. What is the underlying emotion? What is that overarching? It's that all-compassing emotion that then we feel in that moment of that example of flexibility. Well, I'm hearing the word isness, beingness. It's okay. I'm feeling okay. The feeling is okay. Okayness. It's okay. Flow. Okay, I'm going to call it flow. Okayness and flow. Those are the two big words that I get when I think back of those highlights in my life when I was being very flexible. And ultimately, that word that accompanied that was okayness. Yeah, because it's okay. That is such a nice feeling. It comes with peace and freedom and trust and flow and okayness, definitely. Okay? Are you getting some good stuff, you guys? I really hope that you are understanding what I'm doing here. I'm using my own example to spark your examples. I gave you some other examples as well. And really, the intent is that you come up with your own experience of that. And just that I'm demonstrating it to you when I'm going into the description of the movie, when I'm going into the description of what's going on auditorily, or I'm explaining it, I'm modeling it to you, I'm role playing it, okay? That you're really giving yourself the chance to do it too. The more you immerse yourself, the better you're going to get at it faster. The law of attraction mastery is all dependent on intensity and duration. The more intense you feel the feeling, the longer you're able to maintain it, the more you're training your neurology to tap into that resource. That's all it is. It's just a learned behavior. I know you hear me say that a lot, don't you? It's just a learned behavior, you guys. It's just a learned behavior. And if I can do it, then you can do it. Yes, yes, yes. We can all do it. And together we go far. Yay. I love it so much. This is so much fun. Oh, you guys, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share that information, because if you weren't there, I wouldn't do it. Seriously, you guys. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I want to take it now to acting. The thought connects with the heart. The brain connects with the heart. The thought connects with the feeling. We're having coherence. And that, of course, is going to now affect our actions. Yes, I'm more compelled in those moments to do my journal, or I write down a beautiful new belief that just came to my mind, or some memory that I might have had of my childhood that I haven't thought in forever. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to write this down. It must be useful at some level. Or I'm feeling compelled to do a little art, or I'm compelled to build a little altar. I'm compelled to put some stones together or make a little jewelry. I might be compelled to just dress up a little bit, which, by the way, I did this evening for the finish of essentially the first half of the year and this boot camp we're going to be doing, as well as celebrating my own journey over these last few months. I'm super, super grateful for all the opportunities that have presented themselves. And so, you guys, do the things that are conducive to the state that you want to maintain over time. If you know that meditation helps you quiet your mind, then please look at ways that you can carve out meditation time for yourself. And I always say, don't make it the big half-hour goal. Do the 5 minutes. Do the thing where you're like, hey man, I'm going to be in traffic anyway. Or hey man, I'm going to be in this situation I'm going to be sitting at the doctor's office. Use that time to listen to some positive affirmations. Use that time to write down some really cool stuff. I should have my journal right now, because I did make a promise this morning. What was it about? Oh, there was a really cool exercise that we were doing. And so I was like, I felt really bold. And I wrote down that I'm going to find 50 examples of a specific state that, oh, it was peace of mind. Exactly. It was peace of mind when I feel totally peaceful and supported by the universe. And that crazy little voice in me said, I'm going to commit myself to write down 50 examples over this next week and come up with examples in my life of that level of peace. So you could do that. That would be an action, for example. And you know it's going to bump up your game because you're really immersing yourself. It's going to take me a few hours to come up with all those examples. And I'm not going to do it in one fell swoop. Some of those thoughts might come to me tonight. Some of those thoughts are going to come to me when I'm driving or I'm doing yard work or anything. And all of a sudden that little thing hits me when I'm like, aw, when I was with my sister on the El Camino. See, that just happened. Hey, there's a whole other category that I can now come up with more. So I'm going to challenge myself to come up with 100. See, guys, that's how I love to play. That's, to me, the fun part of engaging with the law of attraction, to do these crazy things. And I call a lot of stuff experiments. I'm going to do a 30-day experiment where I'm going to challenge myself what happens and see when I truly immerse myself in health affirmations, to how my body will respond after 30 days. And also, what are the consequences in my behaviors where I'm just naturally compelled to perhaps eat more fresh food or perhaps drink more water. Isn't that interesting? So you guys, whatever works for you, the important thing is, what are the actions that are now spurring, that are now coming out of this flexibility? So let's go back to our behaviors, to our examples. So for example, actions, behaviors that are coming out of it immediately are smiling, laughter, comforting, soothing words, no big deal, no problem, we're going to figure it out. We work together, collaboration, planning, adjusting, all those behaviors come out of it. You get it? So let's use a different resource. Let's say that your flexibility has to do with relationships. And it's about you adjusting your behavior to the behavior of other people. They're doing some kind of behavior that causes you to amp up your flexibility, okay? And now I would like for you to imagine what are some kind of the actions that I could be doing now in regards to these people. So this is really cute time because of course I'm thinking about Sean right now. And this is now the week that we got engaged in South Carolina, 34 years ago. So this is really, really special. We love to look at that time. We got pictures out and looking at us being like 20 years old. It's so cute. And so I'm looking at these old pictures, I'm looking at these old examples and just doing that, tapping into that memory as much as you can. See, that's what you're doing. You're looking at those old pictures, you're looking at those old examples, and it brings up all these wonderful emotions. There were so many wonderful things that happened on that trip. I was here for a month, my first trip to America. It was fabulous, absolutely fabulous. And I already was in love with the country, and I fell even more in love with it and the people and everybody I encountered and so on and so on and so on. Fabulous memories. And also a lot of flexibility, so I can add that right now to my little list as well. Wonderful. Okay, getting lots of ideas, my friends. What are some of the actions that are now natural for you when you are in your flexibility state? So there's our first column. And I know we took some time because I wanted to go deep on it and really give you an experience with it, really spark those thoughts, those feelings, those ideas about actions in you so that you really feel it in your body. That is more important than just sitting there and I'm just regurgitating information, or I'm just watching this thing while I'm playing a game on the side and I'm knitting and I'm cooking food. Okay, you know what I mean? The more you immerse yourself, the more you're going to get out of it. So, which is going to help us breathe to the other two. Accountability is our next column. So, first one, when you have been super accountable. Come on, what are some of your awesome accountability examples? Of course, I'm going to say boot camp. Of course, I'm going to say this whole thing I'm doing with Sean right now. We have this beautiful little altar set up outside with this whole thing that we got for us. Everything is towards couplehood. Everything is towards, hey, what are the next 35 years we want to create together? And we've really bumped it up on the level of like, oh, this is our couplehood and we're parents and all this. Like really like, wow, what is this next adventure that we are currently creating? And those of you guys who know us really well know exactly what I'm talking about. And I look so much forward to connecting with you guys during that journey. So what are some of those ways that you can look at your life and really tap into some of those examples of high accountability? Where did you follow through with goals that you had, with ideas that you had, with convictions that you had? And it doesn't have to be the big life-changing example. It can also be a little example. It doesn't have to be this big, oh, I made all of this happen. It can be something that was for your family. It can be something that was for yourself, where you said, I'm going to do that. And then you did it. And you did it to the best of your ability. And just to let you know, I'm living by the 80% rule. And not only is that the Pareto principle and the whole 80-20 rule, I also mean it as in 80% is when I'm running at 80% success of what I'm putting out there, I'm totally digging it. Because one of my mottos is I dream big and I'm cool with what shows up, which by the way is another one of those flexibility things that came out of this whole planning thing. Sorry, side note, sidetrack. Bring it back to accountability, doing the best I can with the resource that I currently have. And when I'm at 80%, I'm so happy. Thank you so much. And of course, I'm always striving for more. And at 80%, I'm not going to beat myself up and like, oh, I didn't achieve, because that's the old Christiane and I don't do that anymore. So thank you. Thank you, old Christiane. We're done with that. So think of your own examples of phenomenal accountability. You made a promise to yourself. You followed through to your best knowledge, to your best extent, to your best possibility. You made a promise to someone else and you followed through. See, there immediately I think of my grandkids. There's so much accountability. Those little guys don't let me get away with anything. If Oma says, we're going to do a project today, that little Rai is going to hammer me until Oma finally sits down and does the project. She will not let me get off with an excuse. And like, oh, I got to work, or I got to do this or that. It's like, Oma, you said we would do this. And I'm like, you are right. I promised you that. We are going to find the time to do it. So that's accountability to someone else. Of course, in a marriage, there's accountability. Of course, at work, there's accountability. You have multiple accountability systems in your life already. And I want you to look at those that you're really, really good at. Tap into your thought patterns. Tap into your feeling state. How does your body feel? What goes on in your mind? What's your internal dialogue like? What are the movies that you're watching? What pictures come to mind? See, that's what's called thinking. You are thinking all the time. You're always making pictures. You're always blah, 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 blah in your head. There's always some kind of internal dialogue. Meta-commenting, criticizing, arranging, negotiating, this and that, and all the time when you start paying attention to it. And there is a way to quiet the chatter, to turn it into something beautiful, powerful, and empowering, positive. Oh, yeah. And when you have accountability with yourself and others, or your society, perhaps that's where you're really good with accountability. And that's one of those jobs that you chose, and I thank you for that. To have a very, very high level accountability towards your society, for example, in a political position, or for example, as a firefighter, any kind of rescue worker, any kind of first responder. Thank you so much. Because you definitely have a very, very high level accountability with your society, obviously. Thank you. People who serve our country, thank you. How do you visualize it? How do you talk to yourself about it? How does it feel in your body? And then what is the overarching emotion that accompanies all of it? There is a level of satisfaction that I feel follows through. It's very important. Loyalty. I feel loyalty. I feel accomplished. There is a level of accomplishment that comes with accountability, because when you are doing it, of course, you're going to create results, and results are pleasing. So yeah, there is a level of accomplishment that I get to feel by doing that. Okay, so whatever your word is, and then what actions come out of it? What activities come out of it? What behaviors are you all of a sudden compelled to do? To me, accountability is all about list making. It's all about prioritizing. For example, I'm now staring at a 7-page list with a little add-on on the side that is all about the stuff that needs to happen between now and 2 weeks from now, when Sean and I are taking off for Germany, and all the things that happen on the US side, on the German side, the in-between side, the business, the family, personally, including cats and plant maintenance, okay? Because I don't want to have to carry all that stuff in my head. Therefore, my accountability system is, these are the things that need to happen, and I love my little boxes, and I love stickers. We work with stickers a lot in this family. And I know by the time that I leave here, it will all be accomplished, or at least 80%, right? And then the rest of it is just my little to-do list on the road, and I can live with it because I have prioritized it. So that to me is accountability. Or, for example, and I know we're getting to the closure of our hour, because I have a little accountability piece sitting right there that says announcement of the winner from last time. And it is my pleasure to announce to you that our winner from last time for a complimentary coaching session with me, where we're going to do exactly this kind of work, where I'm going to tickle out those pieces in you of your brilliance and your genius and where you're really, really functioning at a high level, so that you can then map it over into the rest of your life, where it's missing, where you're not as resourceful as you would like to be, so that you can vibrate congruently on in all parts of your life. Okay, so that's what my offer is to you guys. Every time I do a free seminar, I give away a free session. And last time our winner is Sherry Blossom. Cute name, Sherry. I love it. And I'm looking very much forward to meeting you, because we have actually not been friends yet on Facebook. So thank you for tuning into my live stream, even so we weren't friends until now. And of course, I'm looking very much forward to meeting you and having that session with you. So see, that was an accountability piece where I'm like, hey, I got to make sure I remember to announce the winner from last time. Therefore, I made myself a little anchor that said, announce Sherry's win. The other thing that I am holding myself accountable for is that I promised we're going to take it onto the global level. So I'm making a mental note to make sure that I am going to take it to this level before we close, okay? I hope that gives you also ideas about your accountability. And the other thing with accountability is people. The people that you're sharing your goals with, the people that you're sharing your aspirations with, the tasks with. So it is about communicating with the rest of the family, with my business, with my people in Germany, with clients, with students, with collaborators, with the chamber. Everybody who is somehow involved in me doing this trip, I'm having these little pieces of this. What I'm going to do with this person latest by that time. And that creates a flow in my calendar about the things that I want to accomplish at a certain time. Okay, so you getting some ideas for yourself? Awesome. And then the last word, which ultimately is the culmination. You can also even say flexible plus accountable equals resilient. And I'm kind of playing around with that, because simply of the definition, it is that incredible ability to bounce back. So I would like for you to think of those examples in your life when you were able to bounce back. When you fell into a hole and then bam, you crawled out of it. When something terrible happened in your personal life, in your family, in some way, shape, or form. It could have been personally, it could have been a health issue, it could have been a financial issue, it could have been the COVID issue. It's something in your society, it's something in the world that somehow affects you personally, and you bounced back and you got stronger because of it. And blessed be, we all have our drama in our life. So whatever you endured, whatever you suffered through, and you were able to climb out of that hole and go, whew, I survived, I made it. That is your resilience. And I want you, this is your homework, okay, if you accept, to really come up with a lot of examples. Perhaps you have 50 examples of resilience in your life. Huh? How would that be? Perhaps I'm crazy. I'm going to challenge myself. I'm definitely going to make it part of bootcamp, that's for sure. Thank you, universe, for the insight. What are my examples in my own life of great resilience, where I bounced back? I was able to recover easily. I actually amazed myself how fast I recovered, how quickly I bounced back, and then I took that and I was able to evolve it. Okay, think of those times in your life. And then go through the same process again. What are my thought patterns in those moments? What were the things I visualized that helped me to make it through this? What were the things that I said to myself in those moments that helped me to make it through this? What did I do with my body? How was I managing my physical body to help me make it through this? How did it feel? What is my underlying feeling? And to me, it's always the peace of mind. It is about this idea of trusting. Of course, trust is my number one resource in resilience. That helps me to bounce back in those moments. I can do this. I have support. There is a divine force that helps me. I believe in non-physical guides. My grandpa, my angels, my beautiful dragons, and all these incredible resources I've gathered through a lifetime of prayer and meditation and speaking to things that are not necessarily visible with our physical eyes or audible with our physical ears, and still that communication is right there. And you know that, you guys, you do your own version of that, of course. And what is that feeling for you? Okay. And then what are the actions that come out of it? Helpfulness, charitable contributions, greeting your neighbor, doing something fun for the community, with the community, being nicer to your kids, helping someone across the street, pushing someone's shopping cart, holding the door open, even so you were just going to step through quickly. You know? Yeah, those are the actions. And of course, in your own bouncing back, whatever that means to you. All right, you guys. Woo! We actually made it to the whole diagram. I love it. I love it. I love it. We filled in our whole graph. I will definitely keep sharing with you as all of this evolves. I am super stoked where we were able to take it today. I hope you got so much value out of all of this for yourself. And now, as promised, we are going to take all that energy that we were just able to generate together, and everybody who's going to watch this in the future, bring it in right now as well. You're part of this in the singularity. We are all connected right here, right now. There is no time, no space. It's all happening right here, right now in the oneness. We are connected. Please feel that, give that to yourself. And I would like for you to, what you just were able to experience for yourself, where now your neurology can remember it easier again, that beautiful flexibility that you have, that wonderful accountability that you have, that wonderful resilience that you have. And now we can share that with the world. So let's all hold hands together, just like we used to do in our club meetings in Salt Lake City. Remember that? Let's just hold hands together and send that beautiful energy to the rest of the world. Let's download it into the pool of the consciousness that connects all of us, the quantum field, the universal consciousness, the energy wave. Ah, feel that, yeah. Flexibility, accountability, and resilience for all of us, so that we can all face whatever we're facing together, in our personal lives as well as together, in our neighborhoods, in our cities, in our countries, in our world. We are flexible, we are accountable, and we're resilient. And so together we will go far. That is my wish for all of us. Please put that into your heart. Please share that with as many people as you can. Teach it to your children. Share it with your neighbors, share it with your friends, share it with your coworkers, so that you can create the systems that support this way of thinking. Imagine living in a society that is based on flexibility, accountability, and resilience. Imagine that. That's the kind of society that I'm wanting to co-create, and I am co-creating right now, just by putting that knowledge out and being excited about it. So see what this information does for you, what parts speak for you to you, what parts excite you. Take those, roll with them, do something fun with it. I love to connect with you and hear more about it. Those of you who are joining me in our bootcamp, I can't wait to see you guys on Friday. And we are going to have our first couple of meetings online. And then we're going to go into our first live stream on Sunday morning. So yes, it's an early call for us in the mountain states. It's at 7 a.m. on Sunday mornings. I'm specifically doing it on Sunday mornings, so that you have all Sunday to then watch the recording, and even Monday, because I really want you to have a strong start of Monday, okay? And then every Sunday for 5 weeks is when we are having our live streams. And those of you who are really interested in joining me for this month-long exploration, please send me a message right here. Just hit the message button and send me a quick, please send me more information. I will be inviting you to our private group that keeps growing, and I'm excited to share the journey with you. Let's see what we will create together, okay? After the boot camp, so I'm taking a pause in July because I'm already dedicated to those of you who are in the private group. We will start again in August, okay? So you will see me again on the second Tuesday of August for our next live gathering right here on Facebook, and I'm already very much looking forward to that. You guys, please share this knowledge with others when you feel that they are struggling, when you feel that flexibility, accountability, or resilience might be useful resources to them. I totally appreciate you guys for doing that. I really want to reach a lot of people with this message, and I'm so excited that this is the beginning right now, and this is now the beginning of a new journey for all of us. So, hey, you guys, blessed be, and have a wonderful rest of the day. I'm looking so much forward to connecting with you again, and until we see each other again, bye!